Welcome, welcome, welcome back to another episode of the PS We Expire podcast. I am your host, Morgan Motzinger, and this is episode number 4. Today, I am talking to you about something that just thrills me from head to toe. It's trying something new. I mean, that's the episode. I'm not saying that I'm trying something new. I'm saying that trying something new is something that can be so very thrilling in your life. One of the reasons is because you are bound to fail. I love failing! Failing is one of the best, greatest teachers, and it also is the best way to get over ourselves. So today I want to talk about trying something new, why your brain doesn't like it when you try new things, what to do when you fail at it, when you suck at it, because you will. And I want to talk to you about why it's important to try new things, what it's going to do in your life when you become courageous just enough to try something new and learn more about yourself. So welcome to this episode of the PS We Expire podcast. I hope that you find it not only inspiring, but very motivating to get out there and try something new. Welcome to the PS We Expire podcast. I am Morgan Motzinger, and I would love to talk to you today about trying something new, starting something new, whether it be a hobby, a business, or just a fun activity to do. The reason why I want to talk about this today is that this is going to be point number 4, but I'll tell you in advance, you lucky duck. So point number 4 is that you can use this as a tool of self-discovery and self-mastery. And over the last 6 years since becoming an entrepreneur, so I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years before I started my first business as a little hobby. I started out doing some interior decorating, and then eventually it snowballed and became this big design business and a retail store and then coaching business. And anyway, it just kept stacking and more things to do. And the biggest thing that I've learned from all of this is who I am. What am I made of? And so today I want to talk about trying something new because it is the fastest path to understanding yourself. Now, the 4 points that I want to cover today in today's podcast is number 1, you are going to suck at it. You are not going to be very good at it to begin with. Number 2, you have to be willing to do the hard and boring things. Number 3, you have to strive for excellence, not perfection. And number 4, to use trying something new as a tool of self-discovery and self-mastery. So number 1, you're going to suck at it. This is such a hard thing. This is such a difficult thing for so many people because we want to be good at things. And I think the main reason why we want to be good at things right from the outset is just our basic biological wiring and functioning. Our brain's number one job of against anything else that our brains do is to keep us safe, to keep us alive, and to conserve as many calories as possible. So our brain doesn't like it when we try new things. It doesn't like it when we try new ways of thinking about things. It doesn't like it when we try new things to eat. It is all about doing the same things that we have always done. This is why when we're kids and we have so much of our perspective on life built into us by observing people and the circumstances that we have, the situations that we have that make a profound impression on us. This is the kind of wiring that sticks with us for our entire life. So the messages and the perspectives that we picked up in childhood are usually the ones that unconsciously we operate out of for our entire lives. And if you think about it like this, like if there was a covered wagon that was going across the country and there were really clear ruts in the road, it makes the most sense for that covered wagon to stay in the ruts. They know that that is the most passable path. It's not going to take a lot of additional energy or anything like that because they're not creating a new path. They are just following the one. It's the easiest way to go. If you try and bump yourself up out of that pathway, it's going to be very, very difficult and very, very scary for our brains. So that in the same way, we have these neurological connections in our brains where what fires together wires together, essentially. Like you have communication all the time between your neurons. I've heard it described like this. Back when they had telephones where you would have to call in and you'd have an operator who would then, take your phone and connect it to who you wanted to call. If every night at 8:00 you called, hello operator, and you said, I want to talk to my mom. Okay. They would plug the cable in to be able to talk to your mom. Every night at 8:00 you called and you do that. Eventually at 8:00, when they see a call coming in from you or hear that it's you, the connection will be faster and faster and faster. So that's what our brains do all the time, is they are very, very good at looking for patterns and very, very good at making connections that we do repeatedly. So this is why it's very difficult. I'm sidetracking a little bit here, but that's why it's so difficult to break a habit, even if we know that it's not good for us, is because our brain's number one job, conserve calories, stay in the rut, stay in the pathways, make the connections that we've always made that are comfortable and familiar to us. So when you try something new, your brain is going to freak out. Stop it. We don't like that. This is new. We're not sure what's going to happen. We need to conserve calories. We can't try something new. We can't think about this differently. You can't bump out of the ruts that we have effectively created, especially over years. So when you try something new, just anticipate that you probably are not going to be very good at it. This was really difficult for me for a long time. I wanted to know before I tried something new that I was going to be successful at it. It was like, if I couldn't anticipate that I was going to not just not totally fail at it, but that I was going to excel at it, I didn't want to do it. I had this idea that if I was smart, that everything should come easily to me, that I should understand things really quickly. And if I bumped up against any resistance at all, or if I had to really try at something or work at something, that it meant something was flawed about me. And that's not true. That's not true at all. The truth is that we are very good, like I said, at recognizing patterns and sticking to the same familiar routes. So the challenge is then to anticipate, sometimes this new thing is not going to feel very good. Now, it doesn't matter if you are trying a new eating plan, if you are trying a new exercise routine, or maybe you're just trying to get yourself out of bed before 11 a.m. This is going to be difficult if you're trying a new pattern with your kids. This is going to be difficult if you're trying something new in your business. But you need to get yourself in the mindset that says failing is okay. Failing doesn't say anything about me. Failing says that I'm trying. The people that truly fail are the ones that never attempt. I heard someone say the other day that they don't believe in failure. They just believe in a first, second, third attempt. I love that mental reframe so much, because it really does pull us out of this idea of like, if I don't get it right the first time, I need to give up, or there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with the way that I did it, or I suck, or I'm a terrible person, or whatever. We have these like mental scripts that run that tell us, again, this is our brain being like, see, I told you, come back here where it's comfortable. Come back here where it's safe. And so this internal narrative that we have about failure is a gift, really, because it's our brain trying to keep us safe. But when you bump up against that, when you're trying something new, just recognize that your brain is doing everything that it can to keep you safe. Acknowledge it. Thank you, brain. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. And then continue on. Keep going. And the more that you are willing to suck at something, the better you will get at it. So I had, this is kind of embarrassing to admit, but this is a new podcast for me. I've never done a podcast before, and I spent an inordinate amount of time researching, like, what mic should I get, and what video camera should I have, and how should I set up my office, and what things should I talk about? And because I was procrastinating, sucking at this. Even before I clicked record on this, I was like, I don't like how much sound this microphone is picking up. And so I was Googling how to make the Yeti microphone not pick up so much ambient sound around me. All I was doing was delaying the feeling of, I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good at this yet. Okay, so number one, when you're trying something new, is you're going to suck at it. And that's okay. That's totally normal. That's totally human. Persist, my friends. Okay, number two, you have to be willing to do the hard and boring things. When we have new ideas about things that we want to try, we can get so excited about them. I think that that is a necessary place to start when we're trying something new, because what motivation do we have to try something new if we're like, this is going to be the worst thing ever? I don't actually want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think inspiration and motivation is a fantastic place to start from. I did a habit challenge. I had, I don't know, just over 40 people join this habit challenge a couple months ago, where we committed ourselves to one habit for 3 weeks. And, you know, they say it takes 21 days to create a habit. I don't know if that's true or not. I think it probably ends up taking more, or going about it in a different way. I'll save that for another podcast. But one of the things that I highly recommended to people is that you do it every day. You pick the one and you do it every day, because the most important thing about this is that you are showing yourself that you will show up for yourself and keep commitments to yourself regardless of how you feel. And this is such an important mindset shift. And this is, I think, why so many people give up when it gets hard. They're not willing to say, yeah, I know that this is hard, but I'm going to keep my commitment to myself. I'm going to keep the commitment to myself. And I think this is also the reason why people don't set goals, is they know that we are going to fail at those goals at some point. And so why even set them and just set myself up for disappointment? So when you are committed to doing the hard and boring things, you're saying, I'm going to do this regardless of how inspired or how motivated I feel today. I'm going to do this regardless of how badly I want to eat all of my kids' Halloween candy. I'm going to stick to the healthy eating plan that I have for myself right now. Or it doesn't matter how much I want to stay in this cozy bed. It's so warm. I don't want to get up when my alarm goes off and go to the gym or go out for a walk, or, you know, whatever the habit is or the new thing that we're trying. You have to push through that resistance. You have to push through it. And the beautiful thing is, and I know that all of you know this because you've experienced this for yourselves, that when you push through the resistance, you always are happy on the other side that you did it. Always, always, always. I don't think that I've heard anybody who said, I really didn't want to go to the gym today, and I went. And then after I went, I was like, yep, I was right. I shouldn't have gone to the gym today. It's always the feeling of, yeah, I'm so glad I did that. So anytime that you're trying something new, you have to be willing to just push through the resistance and do the hard things. We live in a time when it is very, very popular to promise quick results and easy results. So if you want to lose weight, just take this pill. If you want to start a business, just do these 3 things. If you want to learn how to do this, just watch my 30-minute video and you will be a master at it. This is the people who are selling in this way understand our brain's function to conserve calories. And they're telling you, here's a shortcut. But the longer that not only have I been alive and understood behind the scenes of marketing and sales and business, the more that I have come to understand how badly we want that as humans, how badly we want to bypass uncomfortable feelings to get the end result without the hard work. The reality is that we will not get that result without the hard work. It's kind of akin to, you know, people who win the lottery and within a few years they're bankrupt. They haven't done the mindset work all along the way to know how to have money, not just how to spend it wisely or invest it wisely, but how to just have it. People that have, you know, weight loss surgery or, you know, do these extreme weight loss programs gain the weight back a lot of times. And I believe the reason is because if we try and do those things without tackling the emotional side of things, the emotional management, there's no longevity. And part of doing the hard, boring work as you're trying something new is that you're building up that emotional resilience. So our brains are very much like a muscle. Like you wouldn't expect to go to the gym and be able to like hoist 75-pound dumbbells right out of the gate and do some like bicep curls, the same as the guy who's been working out for 5 years and can actually do that. You would expect that when you go to the gym, you have to start out with the lighter weights. This is the same for our brains. Think of your brain as a muscle that can develop and can get stronger and can grow and can change. Neuroplasticity is a really fascinating subject to look at. And thankfully, a lot of the research supports that, that we would always say like kids learn things so much better. And when you get to a certain age, you can't learn things anymore. It's kind of the old adage of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. They're finding that that's not true, that our brains retain their plasticity through adulthood. But the trick is that you have to stretch it. You have to flex it. You have to grow it, because that's how you keep the neuroplasticity alive. So the longer somebody is, well, think about it this way. Like if you sit at your desk all day long and you never get up for a break, at the end of the day, you're like, oh man, like everything is tight, everything hurts, everything's kind of crunchy. If you're, in your 30s or 40s, like I am, getting up and down off the floor isn't as easy anymore as it used to be, especially if I'm in that position for a long time. And that's how it is with our brains too. If we continue to stay in the same position for too long, our flexibility wanes. So it's very, very important to continue to flex and change and grow and maintain that flexibility in our minds. So part of that is, again, like doing the hard, boring things. That's from here to there where the goal is that we have. There's a lot of hard, boring work in the interim. And it's as we're doing the hard and boring work that we are changing who we are for the better. So number 3 is strive for excellence, not perfection. I've touched on this a little bit where I said that before I didn't really want to try anything unless I knew that I was going to be excellent at it, that I was going to be perfect at it. And all of that really was a way to try and make sure that I felt okay, that I felt good, that I could be accepted, that nobody would be able to judge or criticize whatever the outcome of my result was. So if I was going to start a new business, I wanted to know that I was going to make money at it, that I was going to do a really good job, that people were going to all, 5 stars for me across the board. And that's not how it works, because not only is that completely impractical and impossible to please everybody, absolutely impossible, but it holds ourselves to an impossible standard. We will not be perfect at anything. And one of the best pieces of advice that I've heard is that you gotta be okay with like B+ work. You gotta be okay with it. That if we are using perfection as a tool of procrastination to do the thing that we really want to do, we're just doing ourselves a disservice. And we're using perfection as an excuse to not actually put our things out into the world. Okay, so number 4, use it as a tool of self-discovery and self-mastery. Part of doing the hard and boring work is that we are mastering ourselves. We are not letting ourselves being allowed to deviate from our goals because it doesn't feel good. We're learning how to combat those impulses that we know aren't actually good for us long term. We're learning how to say no to the things that we really want to say yes to, and yes to the things that we really want to say no to. So much of this comes from mindfulness and self-awareness. And there's a lot of tools and techniques that are available to increase this for ourselves. The self-awareness piece where we're understanding, oh, why am I doing that? Or why am I not doing that? I mean, this is a little bit outside the realm of trying something new, but more in line of the self-awareness piece. I discovered that when I was feeling out of control of things in my life or really stressed out or sad about something, I would do online shopping. So I would go online to, a handful of my favorite stores, and I would find things to put in my cart and purchase them. I love a certain style of clothing, and so this is what I discovered for myself. I loved the dopamine hit of scrolling through the items and finding something that I wanted. And then I got another dopamine hit as I purchased it. And then I got another dopamine hit as I expected my package to arrive. I would get my email updates like UPS is going to deliver your package today. Oh, yes. So excited. Dopamine. I would get my package. I would open my package. I would try the items on. And what I found is that I was only shopping from places that I knew I could do free returns. So I also would then get a dopamine hit from returning an item and watching that money come back into my account. I would not have known this about myself if I had not started to develop these self-awareness habits and tools. I wouldn't have known that I was using this as a way to cope with uncomfortable emotion. So this is how it ties back in, is as we're trying something new and we feel out of place, we feel uncomfortable, we feel uncertain about it, we feel out of control of it, we're not totally sure what our next steps are, and we're testing and trying and doing new things and talking in a way that we haven't talked before and thinking in a way we haven't thought before. You are going to be very tempted to scramble out of those feelings as quickly as possible. So pay attention to what your personal coping mechanisms are to do that, to stop feeling the uncomfortable emotions of doing something new. This not only will change how you pursue your goals, this will absolutely change your relationships. You will stop being so reactive and you will start being more aware. This has changed my relationship with my children in a big way. I don't like when I lose my temper with them or I get frustrated with them. And this mindfulness, this awareness has allowed me to slow down a lot more and try and understand my triggers and pay attention to my environment. And more than anything, pay attention to my internal environment. Okay, what do these feelings feel like right now? What do these feelings feel like when I'm frustrated? What do these feelings feel like when I'm overwhelmed? What do these feelings feel like when I am in like sensory overload because one kid is crying and the other kid's asking for a snack and the music is playing and somebody's banging on something and somebody just showed up at the door and it wasn't the UPS guy with my package that I wanted so much. So becoming aware of these things for ourselves has profound implications for every area of our life. So I would use trying something new as one of the best tools for understanding yourself more. Now, on one of my future podcasts, I'm going to be talking about tools for self-discovery. I heard somebody say that the most important book that you will read is the book that you write about yourself. So many of us are completely disconnected from who we really are. We just kind of get on the hamster wheel. We're in those ruts of doing the same things that we've always been doing. And we just don't think about that there's a different way we could do things. And so many of us end up bitter, resentful, chronic illness, just a general sense of unhappiness or unease because we're not doing the hard work of digging in and understanding why we're continuing these patterns until we get to the point where we're like, okay, I cannot continue to do things as I've been doing them. I cannot live the rest of my life business as usual because it's not. Something is off here. Something is off. So I want to encourage you to perhaps brainstorm a list of things that you have always wanted to do, things that you have been wanting to try forever. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. I want you to make a list. And then I want you to pick one thing that you're going to try. And maybe give yourself a time limit too. Say, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this thing 10 days, or I'm going to do this thing 10 times, depending on what it is. I'm going to learn how to knit, and I'm going to give myself 2 days a week where I spend 15 minutes watching a YouTube video on how to knit. Or, the first step is I'm going to buy the yarn. I'm going to buy the knitting needles. It doesn't really matter what that habit is, or that, not the habit, but the something new that you want to try is. It doesn't really matter what it is. But I want you to use that as a tool to understand yourself better, to understand what it feels like to suck at something, and to continue to move through that to some level of mastery that you have predetermined ahead of time. So use your logical prefrontal cortex to think about the goal that you want to achieve with this thing, and then push yourself to get all the way to that goal. Don't make it something so huge that you just know partway through you're going to sabotage yourself, because it really is way too impractical for the season of life that you're in. Oh man, how often do we do that too, where we create goals that we know are impractical, so that when we fail at them, we don't feel bad about it. Oh, I'm going to think about that a little bit. Probably incorporate that into my next habit challenge. Okay, so write down a list of things that you want to try, pick something that you want to try, and commit ahead of time to how long you're going to try that thing. Commit to continuing to do it even when it gets hard, even when you suck at it, even when it's boring. I want you to strive for excellence, not perfection. And I want you to use it as a tool of self-discovery and self-mastery. All right, I love you all very much. Take care.